Sure. So hi and hello. Welcome to Destek Talks. My name is Khan, and I have a very special guest today, Mrs. Maye Musk. Hi, May. Thank you for joining.
No, I'm excited to chat with you.
So for those who don't know who May is, she's a model, a dietitian, a social media influencer, a mom. She got three kids, three children actually. Alan, Tosca, Kimball, grandmother of 11, and beyond all, she is an author of a worldwide selling book called A Woman Makes Plan, published in Turkey by Destek Publishing, as you might see here.
And as you might see here.
So turning to my first question, May, if I may. So when I read your book, it was clear for me that it was a guidance for everyone, especially for women from all ages. It shed light to them through your personal experiences. However, I'm curious about that. What made you write this book?
Well, what happens is I post a lot on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And then I would kind of give some tips and things like that. And then everybody would say, you've got to write a book. Then I would do a modeling job. And the models would ask their advice. And of course, I'm very straight talking and I'll tell them, you've got to change that. You've got to fix this. And then as a dietitian, when people would come and see me, my patients would come and see me and they would talk about eating under stress. I said, you've got to change your business or your personal relationship because you're not going to eat well until you're happy. So then I was really telling people what to do. So then a literary agent really wanted me to write a book. And I said, I haven't got anything to say. She said, just talk about your life and the experiences you've had and the lessons you've learned. And I said, okay, but I don't know who's going to read it. And you're right, it's gone worldwide. It's a bestseller in Turkey. Makes me very happy.
It's very interesting because you're getting many comments from Turkey on your Instagram. So it's going viral around the world.
Yes, I get many from Turkey. And of course, I've had wonderful experiences when I've visited Turkey. So who knew I was going to have a book that sold there? It's wonderful.
Well, that's the irony of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting, the choice of the name, because you keep mentioning throughout the book, planning, and planning. It is vital. It is very important for you. So would you elaborate on that? When and how to make plans?
Well, the thing is, I'm a dietitian, a scientist, so I plan my life very carefully, but it always goes wrong, as you see in my book. So then you need to make another plan quickly. And I've had to then make new plans all the time because, I started my business in 8 cities in 3 countries. I don't recommend that. It's really hard. They were not my plans. But the thing is, you change a city or a country because you're running away from something bad that's happening, or there's a better future ahead for you that it's worth taking a chance. And so every time you move, it's really hard. As you know, even if you moved cities in Turkey, it's hard. You have to start thinking about and start your own business. And then I had to let the doctors know that that I want to see their patients and I can help them eat better to be healthier. And then, of course, modeling. The weirdest thing is, as I got older, that I was in more demand because they needed an older model. And now I'm 72, and I was meant to be in a different city every week. Flights were booked, and then the lockdown happened in March. And so I'm just virtually doing all these meetings and even modeling jobs. But now the modeling jobs are coming back a little, but I'm doing a lot of my interviews and presentations I'm doing through my speaking agent, and it's virtual.
It's very interesting because you're saying that you're starting all over again. However, each time you start, you make a new plan. As you mentioned, plans never work. That's the reality of life, but it doesn't mean that you can't overcome struggles through planning. Am I correct?
Yes, but just know that you're not the only person who struggles. And so people were happy to see it. Well, actually, Elon, Kimball, and Tosca said to me, you talk about your struggles because, of course, they were with me.
Yes.
on social media, you look perfect. And then nobody knows you've had a hard time. So when I did dictate my book, and then my editor read it, and I said, oh, let's take out the some of the chapters that will make everybody sad. And she said, no, you are going to keep that in. And I kept it in, and it seems like many women relate to those chapters. Then when it comes to my adventures in the Kalahari Desert with my parents, which is we're the only family to have gone across the desert, completely alone, not seeing anyone for 3 weeks. And they wanted that in to show that you can survive with next to nothing. And,
actually, it's so true. It's very relatable.
Yes, but yet we didn't know the pandemic was going to happen, that it's now very relevant.
So what is very interesting, so you're creating new plans, am I correct? Because of the pandemic, things are gone wrong, and you have to make sure that you got new plans to overcome the struggles ahead. Yes. So it's very interesting, because you've got a very versatile character. Even though you made some errors or you made some choices, even after 70, you're still very successful. You're taking life by the reins. So
I really am. I'm living in Los Angeles because my children are mainly here. Most of my children and grandchildren are here. But now my children are moving, so I am going back to New York.
Brilliant.
I just decided this week.
But this is it. Am I correct? So, because each time there is something ahead, you make a new plan and you construct the right bridges and the right foundations to make sure that the plan is going to work. But it's not going to work, of course.
There's always complications, and then you have to make a plan. I mean, just even packing up your furniture, and then it goes in the wrong direction, or it gets broken, or it doesn't arrive. And, moving is hell.
Yes.
But New York is still it's easier to get to the rest of the world, and most of my work is there. Yes,
especially the modeling. The bad experiences that you had with the modeling agency.
My model agency is really happy I'm coming there. And then, of course, I lived there for 13 years.
Yes.
And so my friends are very happy I'm coming back. And then I moved to Los Angeles because Tosca had twins and she needed help. And then she wouldn't let me return. And then Elon was happy I was here. But now Elon and Tosca are leaving LA. So certainly I don't need to be here anymore.
I think that bit in the book, it's very interesting because you're saying that even though the society was creating Tosca having babies alone, you were there with her and you were supporting her. Actually, that's very kind of you, but also it's relatable among many women today.
Yes, I would say women in their 30s start freezing your eggs.
Yes.
Because you never know. Because then at 39, we found a sperm donor.
Yes.
And then she had these lovely twins. They're 7 years old, a boy and a girl, fabulous, just adore them. And the thing is, I said to Tosca, is there any man that you dated that you would have wanted to be the father of your children? And she said, no. And, the thing is, if you don't want to be with someone for many years, then you don't really want to have their child because they will interfere.
At least she made her choice. Well, it's good because you are very supportive of her, and that's amazing.
Yes, and it's the modern way. The modern way is you have choices.
Yes.
And you need to make a choice, and when you make a choice, you're responsible for it, and you do the best you can.
I'll come to this subject because I think when we will speak about your marriage, your ex-marriage, it's very interesting because that bit about choices and how it was imposed to you somehow by the environment, by your surrounding. We'll come back to that. But before that, I want to make something clear. You always say to verbalize your wishes. You say that people should put into words their thoughts.
Yes. You need to let people know what you want to do. So when I started my practice, anybody I met, I let them know I'm a dietitian and I have a private practice. And so you need to let people know. And for example, I have an assistant now, And 2 days before the lockdown, it's my doctor who heard from me I needed an assistant. And he had a patient who knew my assistant's mother. And he told all his patients, May needs an assistant. And now I have an assistant, and she manages to get us on this program. And it's complicated every time because it's a different type of interview. And you have a young girl, and they're willing to try anything.
If I may state her name, I would like to thank you for Anna for scheduling this interview.
Anna. Yeah.
It's very kind of you, Anna, and flattering a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. So now a little bit of hard topics. You saying that, like everyone, actually, you're not only stating it, but you're shedding light through it. You're saying that life was not always easy for you. You had your struggles, especially the troublesome marriage. It was very tough times for you. And I personally think that it's very relatable, especially in Turkey, because many women, many, and we're seeing on the news, on TV, the same problems all over again. So what would be your advice? What would be, how did you overcome those struggles? What was the mental trigger?
Well, the thing is, first of all, the law changed. In South Africa, a man could beat up his wife and it was fine. But but there was no law for me to get divorced. And then they brought in the law, irretrievable breakdown of marriage.
Yes.
And I ran away with the kids, and I said, that's what I'm going to use to get divorced. And so it was hard because it's also scary when you run away from someone who's abusive. It is scary. I was fortunate that then I had a restraining order. Not that he would follow the law, but anyway, the point is it was scary, but it wasn't scary every day. When you live with someone like that, you're scared every day. But now when you run away and you start all over, my biggest fear was not having enough money to feed my kids. That was my fear. And that took a good year before I started feeling comfortable that way as my business increased. And then, I mean, I was 31. Who wants a model at 31? And they did. They did. And then at 41, I moved to Toronto. Who needed a model then? And they did. Then at 50, I moved to New York. Again, they needed me. And then now I'm in my 70s and I'm more popular than ever, with the biggest contracts I've ever had in my life. It shows you just have to keep going. You get a lot of rejection as a model. Talking about rejection, if you do get 1 in 10 jobs, in 10 auditions, 1 in 10 auditions, you're doing fantastically. But sometimes you get 1 in 20. So 20 auditions, you're lining up and you're rejected. You just got to accept that. That's how it is. So when people say, I have a job, I'm looking for a job, I've sent out 3 resumes and nobody has replied to me, I have no sympathy. I said, try 20. Send out 20 resumes before you tell me you're feeling sad.
This reminds me actually your experience as a model in New York, where you thought that something was going wrong and you dyed your hair. Actually, you didn't dye it. Sorry, you omitted it. You stopped dyeing your hair, and suddenly you've changed your model agency, and you started to find new contracts all around the globe, except New York. Huge
contracts, billboards in Times Square, and editorials. They'd never used an older woman for editorials. They would dress me in fantastic gowns and do my hair makeup all fabulously. Whereas before I would like do airlines and hotel lobbies and house coats and catalogs. And now they're making me look fantastic. So you couldn't make that up. You wouldn't believe it would happen. Yeah.
Just turning to the subject of marriage, what I found very interesting is that at some point you were like not in love with the person that you were going to marry, right? But still, there was the indirect effect, the implications of your surrounding somehow. Yes. It wasn't the implications per se, but you felt some kind of when I read the book, because that was the feeling that,
you know, it's just like I wasn't planning to get married, but then the wedding was arranged without me knowing about it. And the invitations were sent out and the gifts were arriving. And then I get a telegram, because remember 1970, you didn't phone, it's too expensive. Yes. A telegram to say I need to come back to get married. And I'm saying, I said no, I would never. I hadn't even seen him for years. And but he was determined, and he said he would. Then I called him, and he said he would change as soon as he got married. He would be a nice person. Well, of course, the opposite. He became before he was verbally abusive, and then became physically abusive. So that was a big surprise. And my parents were surprised that I was marrying him, that I agreed to marry him, because they thought, they didn't know I was even seeing him, and I wasn't. So it was a con artist, a really good con artist.
Yes, yes.
You did get me, but then I have to say I had 3 fantastic kids. So there, you can't say everything is wrong.
Definitely. I think for the audience, we have to make sure that they understand that there's always a choice. Despite risking it, you went abroad, you started a new life. You were not afraid, but again and again.
No, you are afraid. You are afraid, but you just think it could be better. No, you don't know what you're heading to.
But you planned several times, right? You were planning, making new plans, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, many men have said how they have also made a change after reading my book, and it's improved their office because they got rid of a disruptive person who they thought was brilliant, and you couldn't do without them. And then when they got rid of this person, then he said to his staff, I'm so sorry, he's no longer with us. And they all said, what took you so long? He was terrible, and now we have a happy office. So you see, we don't always understand what was going wrong. Because, yeah, you can be bamboozled, you know, you can be confused, yeah.
So I'll turn to my new question. So it's related to the previous one, but like the first year after your marriage, you had some troubles with money. Actually, you were lacking it. And you told us that you were using your time quite efficiently as a working mother.
My first year of marriage or my first year of divorce?
Your first year of divorce.
All my life. Actually, all my life.
Yes.
Yes, you know, you don't have to have luxuries. My father took us through the desert where we had, you know, 1 cup of water to share with my twin sister to wash in over every day for 3 weeks. Can you imagine that? Of course, as a child, you don't care about not having a bath, you know, or having a shower. You don't mind. But you can live with very little. And he wanted to make it toughen us up so that we can cope with any situation. So then after the divorce, it just means you don't go for a haircut. You don't go to have your nails done. You don't go to a movie. You don't go out to dinner. And you don't feel sorry for yourself. You have gotten rid of a monster. So you can now start getting your confidence back, and you don't need those luxuries. I mean, I cut my own hair. I cut my kids' hair. Gave them manicures and pedicures, you know, and we didn't need to eat out, and they were happy to eat the peanut butter sandwiches and the bean stew, which was very economical.
Yeah, I mean, you were not, actually you were afraid, but you were not, you overcome the financial burden somehow, because mentally it's one of the elements which is preventing many people to make choices, because they're afraid of what can happen in the future.
Yes. When you do get divorced as a woman, and your husband doesn't want you to divorce, he can take revenge on you and give you nothing for you and the children. And you need to know that could happen. I had savings, but he had signing rights, so he took all my savings. He as soon as I sued for divorce, he removed all my savings. So I thought I had savings for 3 months, enough for us for 3 months, and instead I didn't. Again, malicious and revengeful, and that's going to happen. And then he kept me in lawsuits for 9 years, because I'm a bad mother. So then that also takes away any savings you have. So you are pretty much living on the edge. It's still better than being in an abusive marriage where there's no hope in life. There's just no hope. Whereas when you're on your own and you have to just cope with this continuous nightmare, at least you can go home and you can be with your kids and you can be happy.
Definitely. But what is very interesting is that thanks to that, you are also treating your kids as partners.
They had to help me. But then, with my parents, we had to help my parents.
Yes.
Started working for them at 8. So definitely my kids had to help me. Yes.
I was very moved by the fact that, for instance, Kimball was cooking, Tosca was helping you with the choreographies, with the models, Alan was helping you with the IT, etc. So it's very interesting because you were sharing this life. It's not like your life, but you were actually sharing it with your kids.
Yes. No, they helped me all the time. Tosca she also did my doctor's reports and answered the phone and took messages. And that was from 5, she was taking messages, but she couldn't write like Smith, S-M-I-T-H. They had to do to her because she hadn't learned how to write letters yet. And they were said, how old is your receptionist? I said, she's 5. But then pretty much by 8, what happens, she would do the beginning of the letter. Remember, we didn't have computers.
Yes.
So she would do the beginning of the letter, like the address and the date, and then to a dear doctor, and the doctor's name and address, dear doctor, blah, blah, blah. This patient is coming to see me, and then I would do the rest. Because, of course, she didn't know what I was doing with the patient anyway. She wouldn't be able to explain that the cholesterol levels are so high. Please retest the cholesterol levels. They should be better. Or the blood glucose levels are at this amount, but the weight has dropped 20 pounds. So it could be under control and maybe they don't need medication. So that type of thing I would do. I mean, she couldn't do that.
But at least for her age, she was taking responsibilities, which requires us to ask one thing. I believe that for you, discretion and giving children responsibility is vital, and it's pretty much the most important thing in their formation. And you keep encouraging them to do what they want, which is very interesting because many parents, nowadays at least, they want to make sure that their kids do not suffer or struggle the same way as they did, if they have the means.
I don't know if my kids were concerned about struggling. I don't think they felt they were struggling. We were happy. We were just happy together. I never felt like I was struggling. My parents were struggling when I was helping them. I just helped them because they asked me to, and then they would pay me. Actually, they would give me 5 cents for every hour's work. That was fantastic. I didn't ask for payment.
Because you were sharing the life. That's the reason why I think when I say you guys were partners, actually you were partners. You were doing different jobs together. So turning to the family relationships, not only you're very close to your kids, but also they're very close to each other.
Yes, they're very close. They all support each other. So when there's a Tesla launch, then we're all there, or a SpaceX launch. I can't make them all because, I'm a busy mother. But and then Kimball with the opening of his restaurants or the opening of the gardens that he does for underserved schools where he does vegetable and fruit gardens. I would go to that, as many as I could. And then Tosca has the Passion Flicks premieres. So I even went to one in London. I had a job in Paris for Paris Fashion Week. And I had to get from the job, I had to change in the car to get to the train, to get to London. And I got there 5 minutes before, and then I had in my one bag, a separate bag to change into my outfit to get to the premiere. Once
again, you planned it and you were ready, but you overcome the struggle.
Yeah, that was stressful, but I planned it and it all worked out fine. Yeah.
So each of them, they also have our special bonds. For instance, Tosca is helping Alan. Alan is helping Tosca with their movies. Kimball, of course, they're cooking for all of you. Tosca is also a member of the board of Tesla. So they're helping each other.
Kimball's on the board of Tesla, not
Yes.
not
Did I say Tosca?
Yes, I was going to say.
Sorry, Kimball.
Yeah, unless I wasn't updated on that. Yeah, Kimball is. Yes.
Kimball, yes. Well, I find this bond amazing.
It is lovely, but then my brothers and sisters and I have a great bond too. And my twin sister and I FaceTime every night when I'm not traveling.
I think you dedicated the book to one of your sisters who were listening to you at all times.
Yes, my mother and my sister, she has since passed away from colon cancer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
You know, she had it for 12 years. She was always cheery. She never complained. And she was went through hard times, but she never complained. She was a happy person.
What is meant to happen, happens. What can you do about it? So one last question. I'm very curious. How do you feel about writing a book? How do you think it's contributed to who you are today?
Well, I just, there's so many happy memories, and then there's so many complicated memories, and then there's some horrible memories. And I didn't know that I had such a big story to tell. And I just think I get so many DMs on Instagram or on Twitter saying it inspires me to succeed, that it makes me feel like my new job is really to inspire men and women to make a change and aim for a better life. And I didn't know that was going to be my goal, but I'm very happy about that.
I personally think the same way. When I read your book, it was shedding light, definitely was shedding light, because you're not afraid of sharing your experiences, and you're sharing them bluntly, rather than eliminating the bits that people are having a hard time to understand, because it's not always easy to face them. But it's very relatable, even for me, who is a young adult, 23 years old.
Well, that's great. I'm so happy.
Before I end our interview, I would like to thank you for your support throughout the earthquake. I saw your posts on Instagram. That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah, those kind of tragedies, I mean, you just got to you just got to think of the people who are suffering. Yeah.
Definitely. And meanwhile, I would like to ask you if you're aiming to write a new book in the near future.
I started one this weekend.
Oh, now I've spoiled the surprise.
Yeah, because I haven't even told my literary agents yet.
Super.
Yeah.
So we'll be definitely interested as Destek Publishing.
Okay, thank you.
And so I would like to thank the audience for listening to us. Thank you, Anna, for being here and arranging this meeting. And of course, thank you, May, for shining, for being so amazing today. And I'm glad to know you. And
thank you for the great questions. Yeah, really good questions.
Thank you very much. So for those who are interested to know more content, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.